You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to talk about Dalen Terry finishing Summer League strong. Joe Cowley has an article as well, kind of going a little bit at the Bulls front office for their draft history. We're going to break that down. And Julian Phillips is supposed to wear number 13. I don't know if he quite knows the pressure that comes with that number. We're going to talk about all those things and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. Pat getting a little bit of heat for that here lately, but we'll let y'all figure that out somewhere else. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, man, we got to get into it, bro. Dalen Terry had a very rough summer league shooting. Overall, I think he shot like 33% from the field, 34%, if I'm not mistaken, overall from three-point range, but had a big last summer league game. He finished it strong. I don't know if it was the hate. I don't know if we wanted to send some players off. And I don't know, did you see his comments about his summer league after his last game?
No, I didn't see him. What did he say?
So he said that of how, he came into defense is what got him in the league. That defense is what's going to separate him. Basically just doubling down on the fact that he knows that he shot bad, but his defense is kind of the thing that he really hangs his hat on. Yeah. And I understand that. You still need to be able to hit open shots there, young fella, which helps. He said as well in that. It definitely helps. But overall, how'd you feel about Dalen Terry finishing the summer league with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 of 10 from the field, 4 of 5 from three-point range? How you feeling, Pat?
I thought, listen, the offensive game was bad. That's all you can say about it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, the final game was good. I like that. But overall, the offensive game was bad. You got to show me more than one game for me to get excited about your offensive game. We'll talk about Julian Phillips later. I kind of feel the same way about him. Yeah, I mean, I like what I'm starting to see from these guys. But it's like I've said the entire time with Dalen Terry. And very much like you've said, or Dalen's quote after the game that you just said there, what are you going to do when Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic are on the floor? Right. I love what Javon Freeman Liberty has done this offseason. I know Bulls fans think that he is the next coming of Lonzo Ball or the next iteration of star point guard in Chicago. But realistically, Javon Freeman Liberty had the opportunity to take 18 shots a game. He's not going to have that opportunity when you have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic on the floor. How does a guy fit in with that? Realistically, I look at Dalen Terry the same way. Now, to your point, knocking down open shots would be nice if you're on the floor. And I think that that's going to be the biggest thing for me with Terry is with a limited amount of shots, can we rely on you offensively on the floor at all if you're out there? But in a defensive lineup, in a lineup where the Bulls just want to get out and run, I do think that there's going to be something to be said about a guy who can get a block on one end, push the ball, get the ball ahead to somebody who's open, and be able to, find guys for the wide open shot or for the easy dunk down low. I like what we saw from Dalen in that last game. I just don't expect that to be the end all be all of what this season with him is probably going to be. Because even Dalen, right? Like, how many shots did it take him before he got that rolling?
Yeah. Took him a bit. I think, and he said that he was there to get reps up, which I do think kind of colors for me a little bit of like what his expectations were down there from the coaching staff. But I think ultimately, you said it. We've said it. We've talked about it heavy. Like, if Dalen Terry gets a role with the Chicago Bulls this year, him taking 15 shots a game is at the bottom end of the spectrum with him. He's going to be lucky if he gets 4 shots a game if we're just being realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And so the way that he can impact the game is going to be the things that he did well in this summer league.
Yeah.
Passed the ball well in transition, got rebounds, especially coming from the guard position. That's a tremendous number of rebounds to average from the guard position. He pushed the pace pretty well. Like he defended well. He called, he didn't play any of like really the big name or high volume scores in summer league, but he did guard Grady Dick, who was a lottery pick, guarded him pretty well at times in that. You got to guard Dick. But
was he holding Dick to to a low average?
Wow.
Was he holding Dick to a low average?
Yeah. He held Dick to Dick didn't shoot too well that day. Right. But
he held Dick under, is what you're saying.
But yeah, so I mean, listen, yes, there's way more negative to take. Well, in a way, depending on your view. Offensively, it's a net negative. It just is. I'm glad that he had the big game. I'm glad he had the 20-point performance it is. But listen, the thing that sticks out to me that I want to see from him is the averaging 5 rebounds, averaging 3.5 assists, and averaging almost 2 steals per game. Yes, it's summer league, but that really says him to me how he can impact the game even when he's not scoring.
No, 100%. And I think that when you look at what you're going to ask him to do, it's like you said, right? Like 4 shots a game. I mean, I could see him taking at most 6. At most 6. And I'm talking about that's literally if teams go, we don't believe in you on offense, we're going to leave you wide open. Right? Like if he's knocking down shots, they'll play him closer. It'll change the kind of shots he's able to get, blah, blah, blah. To me, what I'm looking for out of Dalen Terry, and I guess I will say this, it can't all be sunshine and roses. I'm not optimistic on every player that the Bulls have. The part for me that does suck is that for most of these second-year players, you are looking at them and saying, okay, go out there, get some run. Let's see what you got. Okay, your leaps and bounds better than pretty much all of your competition. Come on back. You're not going to play the rest of summer league, blah, blah, blah. We didn't see that from Dalen Terry. In fact, we saw the exact opposite. Dalen Terry was getting 28 minutes a night and getting to take all the shots he wanted to. So that tells me that the Bulls are still feel like he's a serious project that needs to be molded. But what I'll also say is we have no idea what they're asking him to do. Mm-hmm. We have no idea what they're like. Summer league, a lot of times for second-year players is literally, okay, go out there and work on this. Go out there and make this happen. It's not go out there and show the media what you can do. Go out there and show the world how great of a basketball player you are. And in this summer league, maybe it was, hey, chuck up a lot of shots. Maybe it was focused more on the defense. Like, I don't know what specifically the coaching staff asked him to do, but it's hard for me to just come out and overall kill this guy when not only did you play the least amount of minutes of any 18th overall pick ever, I would bet you that Dalen Terry probably played the least amount of minutes of any rookie drafted last season in the first round.
I think there was one rookie drafted in the first round that played less minutes than him. I can't remember who it was. You know what?
That guy got to be out the league then. Like, just, they had to just say, go home.
Man, so before we get out of this segment, bro, is there anyone else that stood out to you? I know Javon Freeman-Liberty, we talked about him kind of heavily. I wouldn't mind seeing him come in and kind of push Carlik Jones for that last contract in training camp. The Bulls have until, I believe, the day the regular season starts to decide if they're going to fully guarantee his contract. But anybody else who stood out to you?
Adama Sanago, I need to see him at small ball center. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but honestly, that's what I expect. I think we'll probably get, there are certain players that I think will end up kind of getting close to that max amount of games you could play for a two-way. Mm-hmm. I think that Freeman-Liberty, if he ends up getting one, could be one of those players. I think that Adama Sanago could be one of those players because as much as we love Andre Drummond, we know Billy Donovan wants to play the small ball guy. He's fundamentals. He's 10.8. What was he? 8, almost 9 rebounds a game. And he shot 64% from the field. Like, he's not agile. He's not like, he's literally just, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be more fundamental than you. I'm going to go through things the right way. He really reminds me of to compare it to a Bull, like a Taj Gibson coming in, even though Taj had more opportunity and was higher. Well, we got drafted, I should say. But he really reminds me of a guy who I was at college for a while.
He went to USC.
I know my game, and I know how to play my game, and I'm going to play that no matter who's standing across from me.
So you think Adama Sanago and Javon Freeman-Liberty, if Freeman-Liberty gets a two-way, that they can play close to 50 games for this team?
I think that they can, because I think you're still going to have, especially point guard position, you're still going to have question marks with Ayo. And I think at a minimum, to me, what I saw from Sanago that stood out to me the most was that I didn't see him making a lot of moves that were going to keep him in foul trouble. Like, that was my concern coming in when I looked at his game. Like, there were a lot of things in college that he did where it's like, it's a slight push off. They're going to give you that call in college. Or there was a slight, when somebody's going up, he's just making the smallest amount of contact that I could see being an NBA foul. I didn't see a lot of that when he was playing in these summer league games. And I think that the fact that he can be out of foul trouble, and we know that there's some games where Andre Drummond is going to be the best center you've ever seen in your life. And there's some games where Andre Drummond is going to Euro step his way into 5 fouls in the first quarter.
Bro, the Andre Drummond Euro step is still something to this day. To this day, bro, that I'm just like, hey, how do we keep getting here, bro?
The greatest thing ever was last year. He did a Euro step that he airballed, but somebody tipped it back to him. Then he did a post move spin to a 2-hand jam. And I was like, that was the story of two centers. Like, that was the Harvey Two-Face of centers right there, bro. Like you did what we want you to do, and also a Euro step. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Did
hey,
he
man.
finger roll one in nasty last year? Like, he Euro stepped and like did a fillet finger roll and went up and straight in. Bro, that mug is hilarious to me.
Bro, the big men that want to use guard moves and how frequent it is still wild to me, bro. Still wild to me. But
which is better, him doing the finger roll on the Euro when he makes it, or when JaVale McGee would randomly Euro and dunk with the offhand?
Oh, JaVale McGee, because he got some height on that.
JaVale
McGee didn't even need to jump to dunk, and he jumped ridiculously high for no reason. It's like legit. Like, you're what was he, 7'1", 7? Like, why are you jumping that high?
Hey,
you had no reason to jump that high to dunk, bro.
Hey, bro, that mess was insane. He always was one of those players where you'd be like, why aren't you better?
And here we see 6'11" Vooch do like this to dunk it, and we got JaVale McGee at 7'1" jumping out the gym to dunk the ball. It's so crazy.
Hey, that's why Vooch got so many posters. Don't nobody be expecting Vooch to take off when he do, and you just turn around and you be like, "What's he doing up there?"
Oh, you can dunk. But next up, guys, we're going to be talking about Joe Cowley article in which he talks about the Bulls and this front office and their recent draft history. Before we get into that, got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is PrizePicks. If you guys love daily fantasy or fantasy basketball in general, PrizePicks has daily fantasy made easy for you. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go on to score more or less than the PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit 100, PrizePicks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat. Joe Cowley, man. Shout out JV. You can never forget that. But with that said, Joe Cowley has an interesting article over at the Chicago Sun-Times. And the article is titled, Bulls Front Office Still Has a Lot to Improve in the Drafting Department. He goes on in this article to kind of label every draft that's happened. The Bulls have had 4 drafts now since AK and Eversley have taken over. Kind of the results of that. Of course, in 2020, we drafted Patrick Williams 4th overall. We know the number of players that went after that have played pretty dang good. One in Tyrese Halliburton. Marko Simonovic was also the 2nd-round pick there. Only had a 2nd-round pick in 2021. We drafted Io. Dalen Terry last year is the 18th overall pick. And then Julian Phillips, who we traded into the draft at number 35 overall to end up being able to draft Julian Phillips. Pat, when you look at the Bulls' last few drafts, and I think every draft is going to have its hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Every team, unless you get the one surefire, like the Spurs are going to be the only one in this draft who probably don't end up saying, hey, what about the guy who went after?
Yeah.
But It happens in every draft. Now, in the last couple of drafts, it's happened a lot. You look at Walker Kessler, who me and you were telling the Bulls they should have drafted in last year's draft. And then you look at Tyrese Halliburton, the Patrick Williams draft, and just those two, if you make different decisions on those two drafts, it drastically changes really the outlook of this team overall alone, right?
It changes your pick and roll.
Yeah. Interesting thing that they do go into in this article that I thought was very poignant. If you draft Tyrese Halliburton and actually have Laurie with an actual point guard, do you end up keeping Laurie? Then your young core is Halliburton, Laurie, and Zach. Does that look very different from what we have now?
Would you have started Halliburton over Kobe right away is the question. But
probably not, but eventually he probably would have took over that role. And then you don't spend $20 million on Lonzo Ball.
I mean, it could be. You never know how stuff is going to play out. Here's the thing at the end of the day, right? What we talked about with both of these guys. Patrick Williams took the least amount of shots of any fourth overall pick ever. And Dalen Terry has played the least amount of minutes. We've said that a bunch of times on this podcast. Yeah. It's not, to me, my issue isn't with P. Will. It is. I'm not going to say that. With P. Will, it is, especially last season, especially in games where guys were out. It is, I don't believe that he has enough heart or want to, when it comes to confidence, to be a number one. I do think that that's a missed draft pick. Doesn't mean he's going to be a bad player, but I do think that you absolutely missed on that pick. Halliburton is a star, and I think they're like a year apart. I think Halliburton's only 22, if I'm not mistaken. But at the end of the day, right, like when P. Will's a rookie, Zach LaVine is playing with DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. He's playing with Nikola Vucevic, and you're trying to give Larry those shots. You're taking shots away from your fourth overall pick. When you pick somebody fourth overall, they shouldn't be coming in to be a role player.
Yeah.
I think that development of these guys is the biggest issue. That's the point of me saying all of those things. Development of these players being put in place. So do I think that there's a miss there? Sure. Do I think that you've done enough to actually put these guys in a position to be developed? Absolutely not. And that's my biggest issue with the Chicago Bulls. Ayo Dosunmu, he showed you promise year one and absolutely regressed year two. Had a sophomore slump, like I said, could have been a possibility. What's going to happen in year three? Well, we don't know, because we also have Marko Simonovic, who we never could play, but we gave a 3-year deal to, so we couldn't give that to Ayo.
Yeah.
So we might lose Ayo because we gave a 3-year deal to a dude that's now playing back in, what's it called? He's playing for like Serbia. KK Kazakhstan or whatever.
It's Serbia. He's playing in Serbia. That's just
whatever the team name is. Yeah, I mean, like, and I think that that's my issue with where the Bulls are. I agree. I hate to say this as much for him calling us JV. I mean, but I agree with him. You haven't done enough. You haven't, like, there isn't enough of an emphasis on we want our draft picks to be successful. For how much AK talks about draft picks.
And that's the thing, too, that I have to put in perspective as well, is that, okay, we could say that they draft these guys, right? But who says that Billy Donovan uses Walker Kessler? The Jazz absolutely had to use him. He doesn't get that opportunity to shine. Who says that Billy Donovan, like you said, even plays Tyrese Halliburton? It could have been Kobe for a whole nother year over Halliburton. And then you just never know, right? Yeah, you can look at it. That's why I say most of the draft is told in hindsight. That's the nature of the draft. You're drafting off potential. You can't judge potential until well after the fact of who actually hits their potential. So it's always going to be a little bit of that. Like the only two drafts that Bulls fans, let me say a few, that the Bulls fans never probably look back on and say, what if, is Jordan, Rose, Pippen, and probably Noah. Almost everybody else is probably looking at it and saying, what if, in a way or not.
We saying that about the Kirk Luol draft?
No, definitely not Kirk. Definitely not. Yeah.
Well, no. I do always.
I don't remember who all went. Well, they were in the same draft as LeBron year.
No, we could have traded Marcus Pfizer. Yeah, that was the same year as LeBron. If we had traded Marcus Pfizer, we could have got D Wade. Like the NBA was like, let me give you a script, and the Bulls were like, we don't follow scripts.
We don't do those here.
We don't do scripts.
Jerry was like, scripts. What are we talking about here?
That's I mean, yeah. I mean, the Bulls can draft role players, right? There's draft picks that have been good because the Bulls have been too good to go after a star, right? Like Taj Gibson was a hit. I mean, you can go through former Chicago Bulls and feel good about how the Bulls have drafted role players. Your question marks are on, are you going to get guys who are going to develop the stars? And really all you can look at is kind of our last, 4 years, 5 years?
4 years with this front office, yeah.
And so 5 years, and well, I guess no, you're going back. When was Larry drafted? 18? So you're going back 6 years pretty much. From then on, whenever we first started getting 7, you got to hit. Top 10, you got to hit. Right? Like that's the spot where when you miss, it sets you too far back.
And so what are we judging, like, overall? I know we're about to wrap this segment up, but like, okay, so when you say a hit, are you talking the star level, high quality role player, starter at the NBA level? Because there's a lot of different ways you can look at something being a hit. Most players aren't going to turn into superstars, even in the top 10. So like, what barrier are you using as a hit?
I'm going to be honest with you, dog. There's none of the names that we can say are even good NBA players until Larry Markkinen just showed out this year.
That's true. Oh, well.
Like Kobe White, we think Kobe White is good. Kobe White will be in the league.
Yeah.
Right? Like he'll be in the league, but like if he's on a different team, is he a better player? Or if he's like right now on the Bulls, he's a usable role player. Like I can't even say he's a good role player. He's a usable role player. I'm glad we brought him back. I want to see him develop. I think he's still young. But right now, it's just like, yeah, we need somebody that got a body that can shoot a little bit from the outside. Kobe, stick around. I don't know what the heck. I mean, Wendell Carter, like, I know Bulls fans love him because of the Vooch trade, but I'm not buying it.
Bro,
like, he's dominant every time he's out there.
That's one of the most overrated things in Bulls. Like, there's so many players that the Bulls traded away that you can make legitimate arguments and be like, we should have kept this guy. Wendell Carter, I guess by the nature of what we had to give up for him. Yeah, Bobby is absolutely.
We should have kept Bobby Portis.
Should have kept Bobby Portis for sure.
You know what I mean? But I mean, like, you can't even look at those drafts from who's the first one? Is Larry the first one out of them, or is Kobe? Larry's the first one out of them because he came along with the Zach LaVine trade. From Larry Markkinen on, you can't even give me a name that you're like, I see a role that guy 100% fits.
No, I mean, I see a role for some players. It's just
that we've drafted.
Yeah, I can see a role for some of those players.
Like they're good at it.
Yeah, they just we either don't have the team that utilizes them that way, or there's people ahead of them. Like to me personally, and this is just my personal opinion, Kobe can do everything Gabe Vincent does. He just doesn't have a Jimmy Butler out there with him or a coach that's going to develop him.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like, realistically, Gabe Vincent wasn't that good either. Gabe Vincent just got hot.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying now.
That's
what we seen from Kobe. Kobe got a month. Every year, Kobe's got 2 months where we like, oh my God, he can't be stopped. That's my issue with it. Like what is P. Will? What is Dalen Terry? What is Kobe? What was Larry? What was Wendell? Larry, out of all of them, he the one came in and gave you 18 and 8. And we was like, I don't think this dude can play basketball.
Well, I think initially after Larry's first year, everybody was drinking the Larry Kool-Aid, but then everybody came crashing down very shortly after that, bro.
That Boylan.
Yeah, shout out to the Boylan effect. And that's another question too, is that, you know, Jim Boylan killed the confidence of players. Larry's talked about it. Wendell's talked about it a little bit as well. If we drafted Tyrese Halliburton, who's to say that Jim Boylan wouldn't absolutely
he wasn't there. Halliburton is P. Will's draft, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Billy's first year.
Yeah, that was Billy. That's
Billy's first year.
Yeah, it was Billy.
I think Billy would have flourished. Billy might have put him out there.
Billy likes those type of
Billy liked point guards. Billy loves point guards, so he might have put him out there.
There you go. All right, next up, though, we're going to talk about Julian Phillips. Why the heck would Julian Phillips decide to wear number 13? We're going to talk about it a little bit.
You only wore it in college.
All right, we just want to remind you guys that Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice to choose from. Make sure you guys also go to YouTube and check us out there, or you can also check us out on the Odyssey app. But Pat, Julian Phillips wearing number 13. Do you think he understands? I know he wore it in college, but for the Chicago Bulls, the pressure that comes, or let me not say pressure, but the expectations that come with that number, that is one of the best, like, energy guys of Bulls history.
Now you can say he's one of our best centers in Bulls history.
Oh, for sure, he's one of the best centers. We don't have a long list.
We don't have a long list.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think?
Here's what I'll say. he's got to embody the number because I think it's the only way he'll get on the court.
Okay.
I think we might have been undersold by the defense a little bit. It didn't, like, I didn't look at any game in Summer League and I was like, oh, yeah, he can guard LeBron. I mean, like, that's how we were being sold Julian Phillips out here. Like, he could come in right now and Kevin Durant is clamped. It was like, you sure? Like I saw him get 4 fouls in the first game and they can get 10. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if the defense is going to be as advertised right away. Not to say he can't get there. Shooting is a question mark. Completely. He shot better than I think many people expected him to, but it's still a question mark because he's changing back to what he was. So that's going to take some time to adjust. And I think that you have to embody 13's energy. It's the only way you're going to get on the floor. Listen, you can jump out the gym. You can get past just about anybody. I think you got to have the energy that Joakim brought. You definitely need to rebound better. I think this man averaged like 1 rebound a game, or 2, something like that. It's not pretty. Like, he had like 4 in the first game, and that was carrying his average. So,
is that right? I didn't
his rebounding was not pretty in Summer League. Like, it was very subpar. But I feel like the energy is going to get you on the floor because of what we've been sold about your defensive ability. I think that will get you on the floor as well. But I think the energy is what's really going to put him over the top.
So,
he averaged 3 rebounds a game, 0 assists, and less than a block a game.
Okay. Bulls players that have wore number 13 previously: Nick Weatherspoon in 1978, Dwight Jones 1980 through 1983, Charles Jones in 1985, Luke Longley 1994 to 1998, Kendall Gill in 2004. Shout out to Kendall Gill. Eddie Basden in 2006, of course, Joakim Noah 2008 through 16, and then the Bulls legend, Tony Bradley, 2022 through 23.
Yeah, it's been a lot of bad. It's been a lot of bad. It's just Joakim. We're only talking about Joakim here, and Kendall Gill for that random year. Didn't everybody feel like Kendall Gill played here longer?
Bro, I like, and he's still in Chicago. He just never left.
He just never left. He was like, I'm gonna have a full career here. Breaking down. And I'm talking about Kendall Gill. Like, maybe he did go to Illinois, though. He went to Illinois at a time where the Bulls were dominating. So maybe there's like this like ridiculous optimism among Kendall Gill with Chicago because he was like here for the vibes. He's
also from Chicago. So,
I mean, yeah, but like usually you're going to root for the team that you played the most for. I mean, like, I don't know too many. Well, I guess that's not true. I know Yurko. Yurko played for the Packers, and he's a Bears fan. That's interesting. Yeah. I never thought about it. Like, it's just weird to me because it's like it literally was like the end of his career, 04 to 05, or no, 03 to 04, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what, a half a season?
He played. Let's see how many games he played. 56 games in 03-04.
This man is the voice of the Bulls.
And then went to Milwaukee for 2004-05 season.
We traded? Oh, no, he must have got hurt.
Only played 14 games for them and has become the voice of Chicago very shortly thereafter.
It's just like, I love it. I love it. But outside of that, I mean, there's not a lot of 13s for him to take from. If anything, I will say this. If you, as the 35th overall pick, can turn into, I'm trying to think of the year when he like popped. What was that, like 93 Kendall Gill or maybe 94 Kendall Gill, where he's like 18 points a game? We're 13 all you want. We're 13 all you.
In 1995-96, averaged 17.5. In 96-97, averaged 21.8 points per game and 6 rebounds per game and 4 assists.
Why do I just know random Kendall Gill stats?
Because he's the voice of Chicago.
I feel like we might have had this conversation before.
We have. I don't know if it was on air or off air. We have so many conversations. It starts mixing together which ones we have on air and which ones we just be talking about when we just be talking stuff in real life. But like, yeah, bro. Like Kendall Gill is.
I just know random Kendall Gill stats. Like this mug, like it was. I don't know. I remember him being here and just being like, "We got Kendall Gill," and like not even realizing like, oh, he's kind of like old now. But yeah, Julian, like that's all I can say. show out, bring respect to the number, and I mean, here's the main thing. I think he knows. You asked, does he know the pressure? Ain't Joe Cowley our ambassador?
Oh yeah.
He knows.
He better.
He knows. He probably had to go ask Joe about that.
That's funny. Hey Joe, can I wear your number? You gonna bring the energy, kid? You know Joe is gonna like let Julian Phillips have a bad practice. Joe's gonna be sitting there like
I feel like
he definitely can't let Steven Adams pick him up with number 13 on, bro. Like,
hey, listen, believe what you want. Steven Adams could have picked up Joe Cowley.
Oh, I know he could, but the difference is Joe Cowley would have hit him with an elbow or something. He would have fought. Tony Bradley didn't even realize he was being picked up. He was still talking stuff. Like, that's the thing that made it so funny.
I'll whoop your ass. Hey.
That is funny,
hey, man, let's get out of here, bro. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Joe Cowley, don't beat up Julian Phillips.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize at CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Me and Pat will be back tomorrow to talk about, hey, are the Bulls going to be a playoff team next season? We'll tune in tomorrow to find us talking about it, giving our thoughts on that. Thank you for everything, man. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We out here.
Peace. Tony Bradley got carried off like a boy up in Space Jam. He was like, yeah, we the Monstars. M-O-N-O-N-O-N. Oh, come on.
What happened?